Good evening, welcome back to my channel. I have an announcement to make, which I've made on social media already, but I'm going to make it here, which is that in the spring I will be releasing my first novel. Not necessarily my first written novel, but my first novel that I'm willing to share with the public. And it's a crime novel, and it's called Elena in Exile. This is the cover. So the reason I'm self-publishing this rather than going the traditional route is simply that I've sent it out numerous times and I've secured only a tiny bit of interest from an agent that then dissolved away. And I could wait 6 months, another year, 2 years, and get an agent and then have them send it out to editors and more rejections, etc., etc. And it could be 2 or 3 years down the line before the book enters the public the traditional way. So I thought, well, what have I got to lose by putting it out myself? Self-publishing these days has very little stigma attached. And actually, publishers, I think they quite like when the author takes it upon themselves to test on the marketplace whether a book's successful. Because if it is successful, agents, pay attention. If it's not successful, but an agent likes your work anyway, you've not lost anything. A publisher could still take this book on and make a success of it. So actually, there's very little reason, to be hesitant about self-publishing if you believe in your work and you think it's ready. And I think that this work is ready, having been through several drafts and had some very useful feedback from a serving police detective. But what I'm going to do today is give you a sneak preview. I'm going to read you just chapter 1 of Elena in Exile. It was a very casual nod of the head and hand gesture, but it was enough to throw Elena into disarray. Her first thought was of Ana, so she turned to her 14-year-old daughter and asked softly, "Can you just wait here? I won't be long." Ana began to protest, but Elena flashed her one of those looks that brooked no contradiction, so the girl shuffled off in the direction of the chromium benches by the bathrooms. The airport was buzzing with more travellers than Elena had ever seen in one place, even in the terminal back in Cluj-Napoca. Somehow she'd been singled out by the short, squat male Indian customs officer. That didn't bode well. Elena strolled over, trying to affect an air of bored indifference, channeling Anna's primary mode, in fact. "Spot check, miss," customs officer said. "We just need to take your side, if that's okay." "I must agree," Elena said, trying to make the question sound like one of casual curiosity rather than burning necessity. "No, but we do have the right to refuse your entry if you won't comply." So that's a yes then, Elena thought. Did they look too closely at our passports? "Okay," Elena assented. "Is he going to search me?" "If you'll just follow me to our interview room, you'll have a brief interview with 2 police officers. That's all. Won't take a minute." The officer smiled thinly. He gives this spiel all the time, she thought. It could all be a bluff, but what choice do I have? Could Interpol have acted this quickly already? It seemed unlikely. Elena turned to wave towards Ana, who was engrossed in her phone, as ever. "Ana," Elena called. "I'll be back in a minute. Routine check." She is Romanian to avoid anyone overhearing, but at least 2 of her compatriots turned in response to her Latinate inflection. Following the customs officer to the small prefabricated office beside the customs booths, Elena felt her heart pounding furiously behind her ribs and tried to still it. They do spot checks, she thought, and they're not allowed to single people out by race or point of origin. At least, that's what Francis had told her. The office door blocked most, but not all, of the terminal's hubbub as 2 female officers rose to greet Elena. One was in her 40s, black and well built. The other was slender, white, pinched, and barely 5 feet tall. Don't they have a height requirement for coppers? Elena wondered. "I'm Sergeant Mel Taylor. This is PC Joanne Renfrew. This is simply a routine stop and search procedure we do with randomly assigned arrivals. There's nothing to be afraid of." Elena wasn't much reassured. It was exactly what she'd expect them to say if they were planning to search and arrest her. They have my passport, she thought. What else do they need? "Your name is?" said PC Renfrew, consulting the passports the customs officer had handed her before he left, and a form on a wooden clipboard. "Elena Balanescu," she said, heart pounding again as she reinforced the lie. "Take a seat, Mrs. Balanescu." How did they know she was married? Sorry, Ms. Balanescu, I misread, corrected PC Renfrew. Her sergeant wasn't saying much, perhaps overseeing the junior officer, perhaps observing Elena, maybe both. Elena sat on a hard plastic chair which wobbled irritatingly. She put her hands together on the table as if cradling a baby bird so as not to fidget. You've come from Romania, is that right? Renfrew continued. Elena nodded. From Cluj. And what's the purpose of your visit? Visiting friend. Name? Francis. Francis da Costa. And where are you staying? You and Ana? Is she asking about Ana because she doesn't know she's my daughter? Elena wondered. That could be a good sign. No infodump from Interpol. Yes, my daughter. We stay at Francis. Soho. Elena hoped they wouldn't insist on the full address. It was on a piece of paper in the front pocket of her suitcase, currently with Ana. Okay, would you mind standing up and taking off your outer garments? Even though Elena knew she had nothing to fear, she felt a rush of panic envelop her. Were they going to strip search her? Just the jacket and jumper will do, Renfrew said. These cops seem to have a sixth sense for sources of anxiety. Then again, they've probably done this 1,000 times before. She did as she was told, silently consenting to yet another woman's hands brushing against her breasts and the inside of her thighs. To be fair to PC Renfrew, the police officer patted her down with as little evident enthusiasm as possible. Meanwhile, Sergeant Taylor took notes and examined the passports again. Shit, thought Ana. Are they convincing enough? What would happen if this went badly? Would Ana be escorted to some holding place for family? Would she be sent back on the first plane? Would Elena be arrested here or deported under guard? She should have gone through all this with Francis. That's fine, you can get dressed, said PC Renfrew, and Elena realised that the pat-down really was just a formality. Sergeant Taylor shut her passports and handed them back across the table. In reaching for them, Elena spotted something unfortunate. There was a dark arch of red under the unpainted forefinger nail of her right hand. Dried blood. Why hadn't she painted her nails on the plane? She'd meant to. She would at least have spotted the blood she'd missed during the clean-up. The memory sent a spurt of bile into the back of Elena's throat. She gulped it down, though it burned. Tears began to prickle the corner of her eyes as she snatched back the passport. Was she about to break? Elena felt it was even possible she might blurt out her guilt to these two perfectly decent officers. Don't worry, Miss Balan, we do this all day. Wish we didn't have to, but, you know. Renfrew was trying to put her at ease. Neither officer had spotted a thing. She was in the clear. I can go, she said, with an involuntary gulp. My daughter? Of course, Taylor nodded. As we said, routine. As she clicked shut the office door behind her and re-entered the buzzing arrivals lounge, Elena mulled over that word. Routine. Ana jumped to her feet and started pushing the suitcases over towards her, eager to explore the big city. Routine. There would be nothing at all routine about this trip. And that is chapter 1 of Elena in Exile. And if you want to know what Elena and Ana are doing in London, what they're running from, what they're afraid of, who Francis is, and what's going on, well, you'll have to wait. Probably hope to get it out by around about end of March, April. We'll see. Maybe before then. Hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you thought. And one key thing, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to this channel. I'll give you other sneaky previews of the novel, any other things I write, share little films and videos I've made over the years, talk about aspects of writing. It's all good stuff. Feel free to share it, like it, comment, and I'll see you again with something else very soon. Bye.